7th, 2023, 7 p.m. Christie, if you would, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez? Here. Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigi?
Here.
And Trustee Husani is out tonight.
It's out.
He's out.
Outstate. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
A motion is second. Moving on. Oh, Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
So would you like me to make a change now or later?
It's not consent. Either, whatever.
Well, I know
Okay, so I thought we had a little discussion last time. Yeah, if we want to approve the agenda, and if they want to remove items from the consent, we can do that.
Right, that's why I'm asking, would you like me to make that
We'll do that
now
next.
or?
Either way.
Oh. So, yes.
Okay.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Get them all?
Got him.
Got 'em?
Got 'em.
Okay, thanks. Presentations, proclamations. I have a couple of proclamations to read this evening. National Preparedness Month. Whereas the Village of Hanover Park is committed to increasing public awareness about emergency management preparedness. And whereas the 2023 theme is Take Control in 1, 2, 3, the campaign will focus on preparing older adults for disasters, especially older adults from communities that are disproportionately impacted by the all-hazard events which continue to threaten the nation. And whereas the READY campaign is designed to educate and empower Americans to prepare for and respond to emergencies, including national disasters and potential terrorist attacks. The goal of the campaign is to get the public involved and ultimately increase the level of basic preparedness across the nation. Now, I, Rod Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, call upon all citizens of the Village of Hanover Park to observe September 23rd is National Preparedness Month in the Village of Hanover Park. I encourage all residents to educate themselves and to take steps to prepare themselves in the case of an emergency. Good. Second. National Heritage Month. Whereas the Village of Hanover Park is pleased to join the nation in honoring the many Americans of Hispanic descent who have made outstanding contributions to our village, state, and country as we celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas the diverse backgrounds of Hispanic American community, its dedication to faith and family, its strong belief in the American dream, along with its rich cultural traditions, have made a remarkable impact on our society. Whereas we also recognize the positive impact that Hispanic Americans have had upon political, social, and economic development of our community, and honor the achievements people of Hispanic descent have had in all areas of endeavor, including public service, business and industry, science and technology, education, sports, and the arts. And whereas Hispanic Americans continue to demonstrate tremendous perseverance that has enabled them to realize many accomplishments and find continued success through their hard work and dedication. And whereas a result of this love and dedication to our community, Hispanic Americans have made the village, state, and nation a better place for people of all cultural backgrounds. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do proclaim the month of September 15, 2023 through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Hanover Park. And you got me so organized.
Try.
September 11th, Day of Service and Remembrance. I think you all know this as a day of special meaning for me, having been involved in Washington, D.C. following the attacks on our country. But I'll read the proclamation. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, the American people endured the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in the nation's history with courage and heroism. And whereas in response to this tragedy, Americans across the country came together in a remarkable spirit of patriotism and unity and carried out countless acts of kindness, generosity, and compassion. Whereas community organizations and family members of 9/11 victims began observing the anniversary of September 11th as a charitable service day to honor the memory of those who were lost and those who united in response to the tragedy, including first responders and volunteers. Whereas the Service America Act, approved by Congress and enacted into law on April 21st, 2009, directed September 11th to be observed and recognized as an annual National Day of Service and Remembrance, and charged the Corporation for National Community Service with leading this nationwide effort. And whereas participating in service and remembrance activities on September 11th is a positive and respectful way to remember the lives of those lost, pay tribute to those who rose in service, and honor those who continue to serve our country today, including active duty and reserve soldiers and their families, veterans, and first responders. Now therefore, I, Rodney Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, proclaim September 11th as a day of service and remembrance in the Village of Hanover Park, and call upon the people of Hanover Park to honor the lives whose lost through participation in community service and remembrance ceremonies on this day throughout the year. And finally, Child Passenger Safety Week. Whereas parents and caregivers are responsible for many things for their children, and one of the top responsibilities of a parent or caregiver is to keep their kids safe. No one wakes up in the morning and plans to get in a crash, but we know that crashes do happen. That is why all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and all U.S. territories require the use of car seats for children traveling in motor vehicles. Buckling children correctly in the right seat for their ages and size can mean the difference between life and death. Pardon. Whereas every day in 2021, an average of 2 children under 13 were killed, and an estimated 318 were injured while riding in cars, SUV, pickups, and vans. More than a third, 36% of the children who died while riding in passenger vehicles were unrestrained. Car seats have been shown to reduce fatal injury by 71% for infants under 1 year old, and by 54% for toddlers 1 to 4 years old, and in passenger cars. The data speaks for itself. Your children are safest when properly buckled in the right type of seat. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration wants to address some of the common issues seen with child passengers, children riding completely unrestrained, in the wrong restraint types for their ages and size, or in car seats that are installed incorrectly. Booster seats are essential, not optional. And whereas we know that a lot of information out there about car seats, so Hanover Park wants to come alongside parents and caregivers to educate them about the importance of child passenger safety and their vital role in it. All caregivers who transport children need to know what type of car seats are best for their children, ages, and sizes. And whereas throughout Child Passenger Safety Week, all parents and caregivers should take advantage of the free online material that can be used to ensure children are in the right seats for their size and ages. nationwide on National Seat Check Saturday, September 23rd. Certified child passenger safety technicians will be holding free events where parents can get their car seats checked. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby proclaim September 17th through 23, 2023 as Child Passenger Safety Week, and September 23 as National Seat Check Saturday in the Village of Hanover Park. Let's all help reduce crash facilities and injuries by buckling our children up correctly. Every trip, every time, children passenger safety isn't something to take lightly. Very good. Good night. That's a lot of reading. All righty. Let's see, town hall session. I have one. Hank Romero,
Yes, sir.
rocks.
Yep, I'll talk about it.
You have the floor, Hank.
5 minutes. Okay, here we go. Now, let's get down to business. On the corner of Princeton and Northway, on west side of Princeton, there is a stop sign. On the Princeton, on the east side, there's a stop sign. We need a stop sign on Northway on either side. It can be complicated because of traffic coming from Irving Park, you know, 3 cars line up, and then, you know, they might hold up the traffic. I don't know. I mean, I look at all the angles. Either side to slow down the traffic, slow down so the people have control of the vehicle. I had to send $300 to move the rocks to comply with the law and the rocks on my mom's property. I do not want to put the rocks on my mom's property because the house then is worthless, because the buyer is going to ask me, why do rocks are there? There's already been an accident. This is why there's a guardrail behind the bushes. I look at the situation, I feel the job has not been done, has not been finished the right way or done the right way. There was being a previous accident. The car hit a 4-inch pole. The car deflected and came within 1 foot of the garage door. If the poles was not there, the car would have probably gone through the house and killed or hurt someone in the house. If someone would have been in the driveway or vehicle in the driveway, someone would have been hurt, or there would have been property damage. T.J. Moore says there's no problem. This world is becoming a crazy world where every day, I am not a gambler. It is not a question that an accident will happen, that when it will happen. T.J. Moore do not have to face the situation. I see he is not concerned. I am concerned for our safety and property damage that can't be caused. The driveway is not covered because it is not safe. The rocks are not big enough, and they're not hunkered down. If I'm not finished reading this thing, I'll come back next session and finish it off. If a car hits the rocks, the rock will roll, or the car will go over the rocks. I feel the guardrail be extended to the sidewalk to solve the problem. Well, I don't want the guardrail because it makes the house worth even less. But what are you going to do, you know? Be extended to the sidewalk to solve the problem. Guardrails, according to T.J. Moore, are put in so people do not go flying off the street, and, you know, and go flying off into like a river or something. However, the guardrails was put in to only protect part of the house. The job has not been done properly. I hope the government sees my point of view. The house next to us was taken by police domain to solve a problem in the Hanover Park, in the Irving Park in Norway. They're having accidents. Solve a problem. However, the government has created a problem and the government do not want to fix it. How would you like it if you were facing the same situation I am facing and no one in the government would not care about safety? Would people in the government want to bet all their money and their possessions and future earnings, you know, part of their future earnings? I do not want compensation. I want safety and peace of mind. When stakes or guardrail is put in, people will definitely slow down or be slowed down by the barrier, so my family is not hurt or my family is safe. And our property are not damaged, and our property is not damaged. Now, the mayor said the rocks had to be put in because the fire truck hit the rocks. Because, please, send the drivers to practice driving around at least twice a week, maybe 4 hours a day. Just go driving all over, practice. And,
Time's up, Hank.
okay, time's up. Next week, you
But I
catch
know
up.
you put a lot of thought and consideration into this, and please take the time, don't wait for the next board meeting to finish your notes.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna have
take the
to,
time,
I
meet
stop.
with our police chief, okay? He's here this evening, and you set up and arrange a time to meet with them to discuss your observations and your caring way, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, thank you, Hank.
Oh, by the way, Hanover Park, Tony's, like I said, I'm creating friends. I talked to the fire department guy, Bruno, and I told him that the door is not opening, one is messed up, one has got a sign in front of it. You know, I'm trying to avoid a problem. If they make sure it's clear and the doors are working, maybe if fire starts and people don't start piling against each other. But, I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but you never know. But if they look into it, they might see something.
Well, you can take that up with the chief. All right, thank you, Hank.
Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? That's it? Okay. Let's see. President's report. Once again, I'd like to remind all residents of our village to register for the Fall Fit City Challenge as part of the Move with the Mayor initiative and help Hanover Park compete against other cities and villages across the nation for the most fitness minutes and get healthy along the way. Every minute and activity, every minute and activity of any kind counts. It's easy to move, as moving 30 minutes a day while tracking your activity as an easy-to-use app. Visit the Village Spotlight section on our website and register today. Additionally, our Sister Cities Committee is being recognized at IML, and I won't elaborate on that. I'll leave that to Herb Porter. I'm sure Sister Cities recognition at IML, you'd like to speak to it a little later?
Well, yeah, I'll mention it during the trustee.
Yes, that'd be, yeah, I don't want to elaborate, but I think that's a nice recognition. Trustees John Kunkel, Bob Prigge, and I participated in the Schaumburg Parade. Received lots of shout-outs from those residents along the parade route. It was quite warm, and that's a 2-mile parade. and we shared our fair share of candy, thank you. And additionally, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus has received $42 million to share with communities to assist with asylum seekers. This is an emergency initiative at short time frames which challenge our normal process of building our intergovernmental agreements. I've been tasked to try to pull things together on that, and I've been working closely with the POC and our townships. I've been encouraging our neighbor communities and townships to participate. POC has been most helpful, and are finding that Cook County may be offering assistance for fiscal management that is required. Hypothetically, they are to be the lead with POC, and the townships being the sub-grantees. I think some real good leadership is coming from POC. I'm sure Lisa would like to maybe speak to that at her time. And a couple of the items that we're looking at is how many asylum seekers do you estimate serving? What does staffing look like? Would each township want a case manager or intake coordinator, part-time or full-time? Or would you prefer clients to POC as the only Illinois welcoming center for immigrants and refugees in North Suburban Cook County, and supplies? So looking forward to see where that goes. There's plenty of interest there. And I have a request. I cannot make the business after hours next Wednesday. Herb, are you available to fill in for me?
Next Wednesday,
Yeah. Wednesday
I'll
evening.
get back to you.
Pardon me?
I'll get back to you.
Okay, all right. So I cannot make that. The IML, my new role with the IML, not the IML, the Northwest Municipal Conference has me at a meeting that evening. So with that, I've moved by unanimous vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any-
Those are items 7A1 through 7A8.
Anything to be removed from the consent? Yes, no?
Well, it's not consent, but just removed from the agenda. So I will move forward with that. So I'd like to remove items.
So you're on the consent agenda now. So I really think that you need to either take a vote on the consent agenda.
Yes,
Or have a discussion concerning an item on the consent agenda.
So that's why I
It's okay.
asked before,
Yeah.
right?
okay. This is
No,
not a
it's
consent
fine.
agenda
Okay.
item.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait till we get that
Oh,
item.
okay. Okay.
Very good. Sorry, I didn't understand. All right. Items on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second, I believe.
Yes, we do.
Discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call a roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Perigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Okay. 789. Motion to remove from the table ordinance modifying chapter 2, section 2-172 of the municipal code to remove the requirement the village manager be a resident of the village.
So moved.
Now you can make your motion. We have a motion.
So I'd like to remove 7A9 from the agenda.
We have a motion to remove 79 from the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second,
How does that affect 7A10?
7, 8, 10 as well, then I'm.
So should I do them at the same time? Okay. I'd like to clarify my previous statement. So I'd like to remove 7A9 and 7A10 both from the agenda.
I agree,
Is that a second?
yes.
Oh, okay.
No, it was seconded. She changed her motion and she agrees with it.
Oh, okay,
I
Yes, the
agree
second.
with the change in motion.
all right. Removing 789, 710. Discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Perigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. 711, move to waive competitive bidding and approve the purchase of 51 laptop computers from Dell, Inc. in the amount of $59,935.41. Two-thirds vote of the corporate authorities is required.
Make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Anyone? I assume that this was budgeted for? I mean, it's a
Yes.
normal replacement of our Dell?
Yes.
Correct, Mayor,
infrastructure?
yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Perigi?
Yes.
You can call the mayor.
Oh, Mayor Craig, sorry.
Aye. Okey-doke. 7A12, motion to waive competitive bidding and accept the proposals from Helm Mechanical in the amount of not to exceed $57,355.28 for the purchase and installation of HVAC equipment in the police department, and for the purchase and installation of hot water heaters and a unit heater at Public Works facility, and authorize village manager to execute necessary documents. Requires 2/3 vote of corporate authorities. We have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. 7A13, motion to waive competitive bidding and purchase a quote from the Water Resources, Inc. in the amount of $24,500 for the purchase and installation of additional fixed network collector. 2/3 vote is required. Motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes, I have a couple questions.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So are the readers that we currently have Neptune? Is that the brand?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And so so this is a request to get more Neptune readers?
Yeah, it's one additional reader. Yes, same company that we use.
Okay. So the memo said that there are like almost 350 faulty, I don't know if it's readers or, there's essentially 350 accounts that we can't pick up
Correct.
with the current system that we have.
Right.
So the system's only a year old. So why are we already seeing issues with it? I mean, I guess that's a question for Neptune, but.
Well, no, I can answer that. I think,
Okay.
so to clarify, the transmission units themselves aren't necessarily faulty. So what we have is elevated readers that are in the air to pick up the signals of the transmitters that are, let's say, outside your home. So it's connected to your water meter. Ideally, it's outside your home. In some cases, they're inside the home. They couldn't be physically put outside. And so what we're having is out of 11,000, we have a pocket, an area where we're having a very hard time consistently reading those meters. Some of them are inside. It's just as you take the two other readers that we have, we're a very large municipality, and we've found a pocket that either from elevation aren't getting line of sight, from trees, from other houses. So we have this pocket that we can't read. So what this will do is this will provide us the ability to read that pocket. And then in addition, if we ever do have any other readers that will fail, we can then pick up a large part of the community until we can get the other one fixed.
Okay. So it's like a dead zone?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And so do we have like a warranty on these readers? Like, let's say a year from now, we have a similar issue, but we have the correct amount of meters. Do we have like a warranty? So I guess I'm just trying to make sure that like on a yearly basis, we don't have to keep buying more meters and more meters for like a relatively new system, right? Because it's only a year old.
And nothing has failed, just to be clear, nothing has failed.
Okay.
We do have a warranty on the individual meters. I believe it is 20 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's crazy.
Wow.
And none of the meters have failed to date. This is just a dead zone that we're trying to pick up and make sure that we can hit, because the ground moves and things get in the way. Winter's a little bit easier because the leaves are off the trees. In the summer, it gets a little harder. We'll lose a few, but just based on that. And then this will pick up that dead zone. But yes, we do have warranties, and there's no anticipation that under any circumstance there'd ever be a need for an additional collector.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. 7014, move to approve warrant 907-2023 in the amount of $841,863.88.
So moved. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't have to vote, huh?
No.
3 in a row, yeah, I'm getting on a roll here. 7/8/15, move to approve warranty paid in advance. 8/11/2023 through 8/31/2023 in the amount of $1,145,695.94.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
7/8/16, approved July 2023 P cards in the amount of $26,915.34.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Thank you. Village managers report.
No report.
Thank you. Village clerk's report.
Just something little, last night I attended the DuPage County Clerks Meeting in Downers Grove, had a great time. We had a speaker in from OMA and best practices for minutes, so it was fun to have all the clerks together and do some learning as well, so that is all.
Did you have a nice meal?
Delicious, it was at Cadence Kitchen in Downers Grove,
Oh,
very good.
very good. Nice. Let's see here. Corporation Council report.
No report, thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Trustee report. Syed is not with us this evening. Lisa Gutierrez, trustee.
Yes. Hi. So September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month, so thank you for the proclamation. I have been attending the back to school meetings in our local schools, and it feels different when you don't have to buy the crayons or the notebooks anymore. It's sad. But I met with a lot of our local residents who are really happy to live here in town, and they feel comfortable and at ease, and a lot of them were immigrants, so it was good to talk to them because I had recently attended the Elgin Community College Latino Policy Forum. They were there presenting their research from 2000 to 2020 that looks at the Latinos in the suburbs, the challenges and the opportunities, and it was very, very enlightening. And so being able to speak to children afterwards made me feel better because I learned a lot, and they mentioned Hanover Park in the report. So I learned that 50% of more than 50% of Latinos that live in Illinois live in the suburbs. And we know that immigrants coming in now, since last August, 75% are gonna settle in the suburbs, so that's gonna change even more. Yet Latinos are twice more likely than their counterparts to live in poverty, despite the fact that Latinos are a driver to so many things, including education, where the #1 student, which is true, you go into a college and you open the door, you're gonna see a lot of Latinas sitting there. So there's a lot of female Latinos getting educated. And they are the driving force in the suburbs behind home buying. They give to the local economy, etc. Yet, Hanover Park came in #5. They looked at hardship. They did a hardship index, and this was very sad to see, where they said very high hardship to moderate to low, and in a very high, I saw Hanover Park, and that's all I could see. That's all I could see because we were #5. So that wasn't great to see. And so there's Cicero, Waukegan, Carpentersville, Melrose Park, and Hanover Park. And I'm hoping that changes as Latinos come into the suburbs and they are a driving force. So just something to keep in mind if you want to see the entire report. It's very interesting. I can forward it to you as well. Okay, CIDC met. I know we have a September meeting that's being moved because we have a budget meeting here. So they're changing their date. They're looking at their events, and they kind of wanted, I was out of town, so they kind of wanted to do Hispanic Heritage Month, and I thought, there's just no time for this, can we give it more time? So they're planning now for next year to do something here, and keep it within these walls. And then the Hysterical Committee visited the local cemetery over at Greenbrook, and they'll be providing a report, because they're looking to work with that church for the upkeep of the cemetery grounds there. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Let's see here. Trustee Porter.
Thank you. Good evening. As the mayor mentioned earlier, the Hanover Park Sister Cities Committee is being recognized at the IML conference for excellence in events for our Juneteenth event. It's been recognized by the state, and we're very proud for that honor and that recognition. And there are myself and a couple other members will be attending the luncheon on Saturday to receive that award for Juneteenth, which I think just goes a long way to supporting the value and the importance of that event, that it has received statewide recognition. I'm proud to announce that the Northwest Mayors Conference has asked me to be the co-chairman of the Bicycle Committee, and I'm looking forward to stepping into that role and having Hanover Park play a more visible part in the bicycle planning. I've been looking at some of the things that have been happening in some of our neighboring committees, the grants that they've received, the multi-community municipality plans that are in place to increase the access to bike paths, the walkability, all very important issues. I know we've discussed it and we kind of kicked it around a little bit here in Hanover Park, but I would like to take this opportunity and this moment to have a more positive and a more directed approach toward improving our bicycle pathways. I think we have a long way to go in developing those pathways, particularly in the marking of the pathways, which is something that's been a pet peeve of mine for a number of years, to get some marking out to help direct people through the village as to where the safe paths are and how they can navigate through the village on the bike pathways. So anyway, I'm hoping that in this position that I'll have access to information that will serve as a boilerplate or a blueprint to help us design our own program. As we try to connect with our neighboring communities, Bartlett, Hoffman State, Streamwood, which all have done some of the things that I'd like to see us emulate here in Hanover Park. So I'm excited to be on that committee as the co-chair. Also want to announce that the Hoffman Estates Cultural Committee has asked me to be the speaker for their Black History Month event in February, and I consider that quite an honor that they have asked me to have that distinction and that honor of Black History Month. As you all know, it's something near and dear to my heart. We'll be having our own Black History Month event, and we will be having the esteemed Reverend Dr. Otis Moss of Trinity United Church in Chicago. Very well-renowned pastor will be our speaker, and now we're searching for a venue that's going to be large enough to hold the anticipated crowd, because this boardroom certainly won't do. So we're looking at banquet halls and different places where we can accommodate the anticipated crowd of a couple of hundred people at a minimum that will come to see Dr. Moss. We were able to get a fantastic break on his rate, because usually he commands thousands of dollars to appear, but because one of our committee members is a member of his congregation, we got a fantastic speaker rate, which really he's doing it gratis, because the money that we're giving him doesn't even, like I say, compare to what he can demand on the market. So we're excited about that. We haven't determined the date yet, but that will be coming at our next meeting, and we'll have further information to deal with that. On the 19th of this month, I will be attending the NAACP meeting, and at that meeting, they will be recognizing Chief Johnson for the 10 shared principles that Hanover Park has adopted. which was a collaborative effort between the NAACP and our town. We're very proud of that work, and I will be introducing Chief Johnson at that meeting to the board and to the General Assembly of the DuPage County NAACP. So congratulations to Chief Johnson on receiving that recognition for your work with the NAACP and Michael Childress and other individuals with that organization. So we are very proud of our police department here. They took the lead on that initiative in developing the 10 shared principles during the height of the George Floyd demonstrations, and as that movement was gaining strength, and when other communities were struggling to find a path forward. I'm proud to say that here in Hanover Park, we had 2 significant signature events to piece together our community. Town hall that we had, in which Chief Johnson shared in that meeting, and I think that went a long way to easing the fears and the anxiety and the fear that a lot of our residents had. We avoided any kind of harmful or destructive protest. There was one march that happened, but it was very peaceful in the way that it was conducted, and we were able to weather that storm, and I think we came out a stronger community as a result of that. And again, our police department, who, you know, a lot of police departments were operating with targets on their backs during this period of time. You know, they were under a real critical scope. Everything was being magnified, and in some communities, rightly so. But in our community, I think we showed that we do things the right way, and we're very proud of the work that our police department has done to maintain that commitment to our community for their safety, and also to show that there's a respect that travels both ways between law enforcement officers and the residents of our community. So very, very proud of that. Just want to mention that on the 16th, the Park District is having their Fall Festival, and I think it would be great for the village if we, in some way, could cooperate, attend, support in some way possible the Fall Festival. We've had some informal discussions, and I think it would be a great idea moving forward if we looked at what they do for Fall Festival and found some way to collaborate with the Park District and make that a village-wide event. We need to get out of the silos. You know, we've had discussions about how many events we have here in Hanover Park, and it was mentioned that we do 30, maybe 30 some odd events over the course of the year, which creates a tremendous strain on the resources from our staff and administrators and even the committees to put on that many events over the course of the year. And in an effort to reduce the amount of events, maybe if we took a look at some collaboration with the Park District and, you know, their Fall Festival, they also do the Thursday night music on the Hill. We do Wednesday night live. It doesn't make a lot of sense that, you know, on Wednesday and Thursday, you got 2 government units producing music events, when again, we could look at some type of collaboration and jointly put on these type of events. Because what we really want to do is serve the community. It's not about who gets the recognition or who's doing it, but are we offering services for the betterment of the community? And if that's what we need to do in order to do that and lessen the strain on our administrators and staff, then I think that's something that we ought to look at doing and to consider. In that vein of thought, the St. Ansgar Festival and Parade is also on the 16th. I've talked with the Park District, and next year they're going to consider that fact and maybe move their event so that it doesn't conflict with the St. Ansgar Parade. And my thoughts on that is that this is actually the biggest festival that occurs in our town. It's the most well-attended event in our town, the St. Ansgar Festival celebrating Mexican Independence Day. It's, like I said, the largest event. It's larger than anything we do as a village, and it's even larger than anything that the Park District does. And I would like to explore, again, in an effort and in a sense of collaboration, what can we do to join with St. Ansgar and make that event a village-wide event, and to join with them on that. I know we participated in a parade over the holiday, But they have a parade during this, and I would like to see us increase our visibility in that parade. That's our hometown, that's our parade, those are our residents that line the streets for that parade. And I would like to see us become more active and more visible. And if we're gonna march in parades, I have no problem with supporting other communities in their parades. I mean, if that's what we wanna do and spend money throwing candy out to residents of other communities. But I certainly would like to not do that to the absence of doing it here in our own town. I think we certainly need to consider that. So both of those events, the Park District and St. Ansgar are both on the 16th, and I will be bringing these items up in terms of collaboration and resources during our budget discussion, because you can tell where your heart is when you look at where your budget is. So I'd like to have that discussion during budget session and see what we can do to support those two communities and those activities for the betterment of all of our residents here in Hanover Park. And that concludes my report.
Thank you
Oh,
very
and
much.
I'm sorry, yes, I am available for the 15th for the business after hours.
Oh, very, 13?
Is it the 13th?
Yeah.
Oh, I take that back. Let me look again. I thought you said the 15th, but I'm sure it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I like to see these things get covered, and well, outstanding report, Herb, and I don't think I can argue with any one thing. I know that, even in today's newspaper, Hanover Park quietly involves in some really good stuff. And, we can be under the radar and get a lot of things done for our residents, and I think you highlighted many of those. The NAACP initiative, we didn't run from that. We were involved in it. The chief stepped up to it and represented the people of Hanover Park as I would expect and this board would expect. And you articulated the outcome of that very nicely, and that's well done to the staff. So, okey doke. Thank you. Trustee Kunkel.
Yes, I'll start off with report on the airport noise. The latest ANMS report still shows 80% of the lower runways, the 10s and the 32s. It's the southern runway, which most of that, when they take off and land, it's going to be over DuPage County. The 9s, which are the north airfield, fly over the northern part of town. Like from Schaumburg Airport on up is where you're gonna get the 9 airplane noise from those. The last report, it showed us we had 5 noise complaints in town, or 5 houses that complained, with 33 complaints amongst those 5 houses. Majority of those houses were in southern DuPage along Army Trail, down very south. There's also been some complaints of noise, but like I said last meeting, NASA's been having their DC-10 fly around. They finished up last month, and unfortunately, they're using a DC-10. It's got what's called a Stage 2 engine, which is the loudest engine that's out there right now. That's on any plane. Stage 1 engines are long gone. Those are from the 50s and 60s. And the NASA's plane has been flying at roughly about 2,000 feet. They were measuring air quality in the area from all the smoke and everything. They finished the day before the air show downtown. However, some of the possible noise that they have could be heard in houses, could be due to smaller aircraft from Schaumburg. Schaumburg now their airport now has 2 flight schools where they're doing a lot more flying around, and they fly low. So unfortunately, you're gonna hear them. If you have single pane windows, you're gonna hear them worse, especially if they start shaking and stuff. People with double pane windows, not as much. So just keep that in mind when somebody does complain about airplane noise. Right now, the majority of planes are 737s, which are a narrow body plane. The wide body planes are like 747s, 767s, 787s. Those are the wide bodies, the big ones that go like overseas mostly, or take a lot of cargo. That's it on the airport noise. Veterans Committee, we're looking at possibly a woman's statue for the Veterans Memorial outside, so we're looking into that. Also working on trying to come up with a plan about fixing the stones that are outside, the plaza, outside, out front. And right now, the bricks that we have out there, they're no longer available. Am I correct on that? TJ, am I correct? No bricks?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So we have to look at another alternative brick or possible another supplier. And that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, John. Okay, trustee Benko.
Thank you. I'd like to start my report by addressing a couple of the questions or statements that Mr. Hank Romeo stated earlier during town hall. The first question is, Mr. Romeo talked about the need for a stop sign, an additional stop sign on Northway near Irving Park Road. Is this something that something that's been previously discussed? Was there a stop sign there and has it been knocked down? Have we heard this suggestion before? Any additional information would be helpful.
Yeah, there hasn't been a stop sign there to my knowledge, but it's something we could do an evaluation on and do a needs assessment.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. And then the next statement that I would, if I could just get clarification on, so Mr. Romeo stated that $300 was spent to remove rocks. I don't know if this was boulders, or if this is related to the ongoing boulder conversations that we've had. Also talked about guardrails and mentioned our public works director. So any sort of clarification on that matter.
Are you
So
looking to me
I guess
to?
so. So yes, TJ, if you could provide clarification on if this is a cost that's associated with the boulder remover, or if this is something that's,
I think the clarification needs to be made to the resident who spoke, because we do not charge for removal of the boulders.
I can, but also that's why I'm asking for clarification, right? If,
So
what
there has been no
associated
charge-
costs?
There's been no associated cost by the village for removal of boulders. So I would ask that the resident.
I mean, I can, but I mean, I'm just asking for general clarification. So, yes, Mr. Romeo, would you like to provide any sort of additional information as to the costs that you referred to earlier?
Yeah, it cost $300 to move one guy helped me move all the rocks. It cost me, I said $60, but then I gave him a total $100 to move all the rocks from the curb into my mom's property. It's not, the village doesn't take it from the property. You know, if the village could have taken the rocks, but I wanted the rocks to avoid people coming in. And next week, when I finish the whole thing, you'll be able, the next session we have, I'll be able to explain the rest of it, that we don't need rocks because it's gonna cost so much. But, you know, to move the rocks, I can't do it by myself, so I got a guy for $100, and then one rock I couldn't move, so I paid a guy $200 to move that particular rock into the property. TJ said I could put the rocks in my property. I cannot have them on the village property because that's what the accident from the truck made it where
Okay.
they want the rock, the village wants the rocks moved away from the curb.
So this was
Yeah.
related to
They just moved
personal,
it, just
okay.
went into my property. Yeah, I could have said, you know, the village, you know, take the rocks, and they would have taken them. It won't cost me anything. You know, according to what I talked to TJ Moore, you know, he said, yeah, we take them. You know, they take the rocks. If you ask the village to take it, they do it. They take the rocks away from the curb.
Okay, so you are now aware that that was a service
No,
that
I
is
was
that is
aware of
available
that.
to
No,
you
No, I was aware of it.
free of cost.
Yeah, but I'm moving the rocks from the village side to my mom's property. That's my responsibility. That's not the village responsibility.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it. Okay, moving on. I did want to let our DuPage County residents know that DuPage County has started to do community forums. They're doing these forums to gather resident input, feedback on their current and future initiatives, and hoping that it will, that the feedback that they get will shape some of the initiatives and some of their budgetary focuses in the future. So if you're a DuPage County resident, you can attend any one of the in-person meetings they're having. Unfortunately, they're not having one in Hanover Park, but they're having them at public libraries throughout the county. And if you're not able to attend an in-person meeting, you can submit any feedback on their main website.
Who's sponsoring these forums?
The county.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe it's like the Strategic Initiatives Committee, to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah. The Environmental Committee meeting was able to meet. We did have quorum, so we talked about our upcoming events. We also talked about special events. And I did just want to flag that the Environmental Committee does have an event coming up. It's our annual recycling event. So it's coming up it'll be held on Saturday, September 23rd from 9 to 12 p.m. in the Metra North Lot. There is a myriad of items that we accept. It's posted online. I'm not going to go through the whole list because it is quite long, but there are many, many, many things that we accept and that we will recycle for our residents free of charge. Last thing I wanted to talk about was that I attended the Courts and Crafts event that we had a couple weeks ago, and it was a really great event. It was many fellow board members were also present. I thought it was very bustling, and I think that the amount of people there and I guess the response that the village saw for that specific event is maybe grounds for advocating for that event to stay in the next calendar year, which brings me to another topic, which is that I have a monthly newsletter, as many of you know, and I talk about, a range of topics all pertaining to the village. And in one of my topic areas, I talked about the events and what was discussed in the previous workshop about the signature events, the events that might that we may propose to be every other year, and then the events that may be up for elimination. And in the maybe almost 2 years that I've been doing this, I have never received so much engagement from our residents in regards to these events. I got so many different emails like, save that event. No, I didn't even know we did that event. What's that event? No, don't get rid of that event. And so I just want to, one, flag that for our board, but two, I want to do this decision-making process justice. I want to make sure that our residents, that the input that our residents provide us is taken into account. I certainly value it. I'm thankful for every resident that got back to me and said, and talked about the different events that they appreciate. But I do want to make sure that that full list of events is going to come before the board again, so we can kind of give it like a final stamp of approval. So I don't know if that's happening during the budget season or at a future board meeting. And so I guess clarification on that would be helpful.
So we're working on the budget, we're finalizing it, we had our last meetings today, and right now, the budget includes the direction of the board from the workshop on which events to include and which ones are no longer included. There is you mentioned Corks and Crafts, there is a placeholder with an increase in the budget for that event, but it's listed as a signature event, and we will be having meetings to talk about what that might look like, whether it will look similar to Corks and Crafts, or any modifications or enhancements to that. So we will be having that meeting at the staff level in the next, I believe it's next week, to talk about what that might include so that we can have that discussion with the board during the budget meetings.
Okay, so just to clarify, when it comes before the board, though, those decisions will kind of already have been made
So,
and have amended budgets next to them.
so I'm responsible to bring the board a balanced budget, and my recommendation from there, the board can make modifications that they wish to make, and maintain a balanced budget. So, I will make a recommendation based on the feedback that I received from the board at the workshop, as well as what the budget can handle in terms of expenses related to revenues that we're receiving as well, and it will include feedback from the discussions at the staff level for those special events. And so, for example, if something is not included in that budget, then you can have a discussion and say, we'd really like to bring that back, or we'd really like to make a modification and include that.
But why wouldn't it be provided to the board before we get to that point? So you're saying that it can be removed, and then we can come back to you and say, well, we want to add that in. But I guess what I'm trying to clarify is, can that information be provided to the board before we even get to that point? Because we're going into budget season, it's several months long, and this is an issue that as I stated before, I received a lot of engagement from our residents. And so I want to make sure that that's not like a back burner issue, that we give this issue time, review from all the board members.
Yeah, I thought that was the purpose of the workshop that we did have, where we just had everybody discuss and staff walk through all of the different special events, and we heard feedback from all of the elected officials on which events to include and keep, and they weren't all consistent with our recommendation. I mean, there were modifications and events that the board said that they wanted to keep, and so that information from that workshop has then been incorporated into the budget process. So I guess what I'm saying though is that's not the last step. So there will be several budget meetings, and one of them will have special events on them, and at that point we can have further discussion about the special events and what's included and what isn't, and kind of the cost that's involved in them. And we can give you we can bring back that spreadsheet that showed the cost, that showed the staff costs and all of the costs that were associated with each event, and then the board can make, changes to the budget if they wanted to do that. I just don't think that we have enough time in the schedule for the budget to have another sole workshop just to talk about special events. I mean, we have a lot of different things that are included in this budget, and I'm just not sure where in the schedule that would come prior to having it as part of the discussion of the budget.
I'm
So
looking
thank
forward
you
to
for the
recommendation,
clarification.
you know.
So thank you for the clarification. I wasn't necessarily asking for a additional workshop to be held. I think that we had a robust discussion. I don't think that's necessary. I am saying though is that you're saying that you took the information from that workshop and then you made decisions and then you're gonna present that information to the board. But at that workshop, we talked about how there was many stakeholders that were not even in the room. There was many residents that weren't in the room. There was many committee members that lead on these events that weren't able to provide their input. And now, even more input has come into that decision. And so I just want to make sure, and I just want to be very clear that it's an important issue to our residents, and that it's not just the board that has feedback. It's our residents. It's our committee members. It's our chairs. So.
But you're here
let's make it
representing them
also.
when it comes to the budget.
Correct, but
We're not opening the
So
budget.
we
there's
also-
thoughts, there's opinions, I mean, there's ethnicities that are involved, Hispanic, I mean, there's so, it's multi-layered. And so let's make sure that we are going about this in a way that's communicative with our residents, that's also respectful, right?
That's our,
And just
well,
making
that's our
sure
role.
that all of that
Yeah.
input is
Yeah,
at the
that's
forefront.
our role.
So.
So one of the steps we took was to have each of the committees review and have a discussion on their agenda to talk about their special events, and then that staff liaison brought that information back to us, and it has been consolidated into a report. So that
So it's a
information-
report for you, but we haven't seen that
But
report.
it's not
We
just
haven't
like
been
the
provided with any
But you're
updates.
assuming that I'm not going to give that to you.
I'm
So
not
that-
assuming anything.
Well,
I'm
just
asking
saying
a
that
question about when this information will just be provided to the board again, so we can simply review it.
It's coming, right?
Do you know what the committee is?
The information will be provided the intent is that the information be provided as part of the budget process, that you will receive the information so that you can make a decision on the various parts of the budget, this being one of them. Unless you want to have a separate meeting to discuss this topic.
That is not necessary. I just want to make sure that this is I understand. I just want to make sure that this comes before the board in a fashion in which we are provided with all the information provided to make informed decisions about what events are best for our residents. I hope we're on the same page,
I think we are.
and I'll stop there. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Priggen,
No report.
motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Jed?
Mr. Park, nice to see you this evening.